Hello and welcome to the opposing episode of our Magic Archery Face-Off. He obviously explained well, if you saw the first of the two videos, he explained the whole premise of we're playing Magic Archery, the goal is to see who can do it better. We've been kind of doing this on our own time a little bit because I thought I'd be pretty good at this game and he'd already played it, so he figured he'd be better at me than this game. So we're finding out for sure once and for all and posting it for y'all's entertainment. Which part of what I'm doing, obviously, is clicking really quickly through those. And then 90% of what I'm doing is clicking buttons as quickly as I possibly can. Because I think that's kind of my skill here, is I'm a little bit faster on the reflex than he is, and a little bit more attentive to how long it actually takes things to happen in games. I have not seen him play this, though. Not in a while, so... which, obviously, obvious if you've seen the other video. He played, and I was not in the room for that. He is also not in the room for mine. We didn't want to have any chance of people picking up, or one of us picking up anything based off what the other one is doing. So, I didn't want him to get my tactics, he didn't want me to get his tactics, which I've been winning thus far. So, we're gonna see. Which, he left the time up so I could see what his time was, but on this page there's no way to look at how, there's no way to look at what the times are, so... I have no idea how well I'm doing in comparison to how he's doing. So yeah, 90% of my strategy with this game is pretty much just do whatever quests they give you, level it up as fast as you can. If you are able to unlock the next, in here, quest. Oh cool, I have upgrades now. Yes, please. If I'm able to unlock the next of these before I'm done with the one that I'm on, I just unlock it and start that one immediately because they scale up so quickly it ends up being worth it. 5. I also go for auto-craft targets as soon as I possibly can. I do like to hide the maxed upgrades just because it's less cluttering. There we go. No! My timing. This is gonna be the game where I figure out if I can talk and do things at the same time, because there is a lot of timing in this and counting how many arrows. Hello! Wow. Why? Okay, come here. I'll scoot your chair closer. He's on what is normally my chair. That's Salem. He is in the picture, for the channel. Okay, I need my right hand. I'm not as good lefty. Why do you have to be on the right side of me? You can be in my lap. This is Salem, otherwise known as the Salami Boy. He's in the picture. He's the black cat. The tortoiseshell is, Salem is unofficially his cat, and Arin is the name of the other one, and she's unofficially my cat. They're both of our cats, but, Salem, when we first found him, he was up on, he was on a telephone pole at the bottom of the driveway of the house that we lived in, which we didn't know where he was, and we live out in the desert, so we assumed that what we were hearing, he's just screaming at the top of the telephone pole. We assumed that what we were hearing was a cat that had probably been attacked by a coyote or something, and we were expecting, like, okay, we're gonna go find this cat and, like, comfort it until it's dead, kind of thing, you know? And we're wandering through the bushes trying to find the stupid... I say stupid cat now because he's stupid. But we're wandering through the bushes trying to find this cat, and... as we get, closer and closer to the telephone pole, all of a sudden he just goes, "Hey, I found the cat." And I go, "Oh, where?" And he goes, "Look up." And this damn cat is at the top of the telephone pole screaming his head off, and we proceeded to spend 4 hours with a friend trying to convince this cat to come down. And he would not. There was nothing we could do. We put tuna at the bottom. We threw a basket attached to a rope over the wire because we figured we could get it close enough and lower him down. We called two different fire departments because we were kind of in an awkward middle area. And in that awkward middle area, it could have been either fire department that showed up. We Googled all around and asked everybody, and they were like, "I don't know, it's been both anytime there's been problems in the neighborhood," so we were like, okay. We called both. One of them just laughed at us over the phone. The other one showed up to laugh at us in person. And did not bring a ladder truck or anything. Basically, showed up to laugh at us in person, was like, "Yeah, no, we can't spare the truck because we're in the middle of fire season right now." We're in the middle of fire season right now. We can't spare the truck to, help you get the cat down. And I'm like, I didn't say it to the guy's face, but, in the amount of time it took you to get down here in not a ladder truck, you could have had the cat down and been gone already. You just showed up to laugh at us, and then that guy drove off and didn't help. So, cat's stuck up there. Nothing we can do about it. Which was phenomenal. So we just went to bed, and we decided if he was still up there the next morning, we were gonna, call the Humane Society or something and see if they could get him down. Because we didn't have, one of the things that they suggested was, online, is they were like, "Oh, call a tree trimming service, and a lot of them will charge you a couple of bucks, and, come get the cat down." And we were like, we didn't even have $15 to pay for them to do that. So, we didn't really have a choice. I like to watch it go up really fast when it's a bigger target. Look at it go. But no, so we didn't have the money to pay even $15 to get somebody out there with a ladder, and none of our neighbors had a ladder tall enough, and even so, it, when I say telephone pole, I mean the really tall ones. I have no idea how the hell he got up there. So we go to bed, we walked our friend home at night, it was dark, cat's still up there, still screaming. So we go to bed, we wake up the next morning, he's still up there, I have to work, but he does not. So, he drops me off at work, and he says he'll call me to tell me what happens, and I'm like, yeah, tell them if that cat isn't chipped, that I want that cat. If there's no collar, no chip, no nothing, if this is a stray, I want this cat. I went to all of the trouble. I've already got a cat, or, well, we didn't. The person that we were living with did, so it didn't, there was already cat food around, and then, I was like, whatever, we can specifically save up to do whatever we need to do, which the lady that we were living with wound up helping us out, and the Humane Society or Animal Control gave us, a huge discount on, the medical check and everything, because they were like, yeah, no, thank you, our shelter is full, we kind of need you to... That's great that somebody just immediately wants this cat, actually. And we were like, hell yeah, we want the cat. But no, because, obviously I want this cat. I went to all the trouble, 4 hours of my life trying to get this cat down from the pole that he's on. Yes, I want this cat. This is my problem now. I've decided. So, he drives me to work. I was working at a gas station, in the back making food. And, he, halfway through my shift, I'm in the back, actually, I think I was packaging cookies. And I'm in the back doing whatever the heck I'm doing, and, somebody comes back, and they're like, hey, your boyfriend's here at the front desk, and I was like, oh, what? So I come out, and I get image of just the most winded possible, him, and he's just... I've got the cat, he's in the car, I'm on my way to the SPCA, I gotta go, and I was like, okay, bye, And I get a phone call later, and they did check the cat. He was not chipped. He had come down in between him dropping me off at work and was drinking from a puddle on the neighbor's property. So he ran inside, grabbed tuna, because that was just what he thought of, and brought it out, set it, like, very carefully sets it next to Salem. Salem, like, sniffed it, went back to drinking water, and he was like, okay, sure, whatever. Eventually Salem got done drinking the water and just kind of looked up at him. So we picked him up, because, I don't know, you seem like you want attention. And him having, like, Salem starts kneading on his arm on the way in, with his paws, and he thought that he was declawed because Salem was so gentle with it. Since we're in between skills here and I don't need that, I'm gonna upgrade strength so that I can take down these targets faster. Which is what I do if I have to wait for money to get the next level, or if I have to wait in between for something, I generally just level up whatever needs it. But no, so he's walking this cat, and he genuinely thought he was declawed. And basically the cat, since there was another cat, was currently in, like, a huge dog kennel, because they used to have really, really big dogs, and chilling in there with water and food, and just waiting on finding out, anything about the cat. Like, you know, we don't know what the heck's going on with this cat yet, and he was like, yeah, I don't want to just have him out, which I thought was fair, and it did turn out that the other cat hated Salem's guts, but he actually had no idea that that cat hated him, so for the longest time he thought that hissing was, like, a polite greeting, which was great because we were staying with another friend who also had a cat, and we, like, set them down near each other because I didn't know what I was doing introducing them yet. And Salem, like, sits up straight, ears forward, tail tucked around his front paws, and just at that other cat. And the poor thing freaked out, but it was so funny. But no, so he brings him in, and then when I got home from work, we decided to let him out in the bathroom so that it was a controlled space, because, you know, I don't know what the heck kind of cat this is. This could be a feral cat, as far as I know. I don't think so, based off of, like, obviously what he was telling me about when he first picked up the cat, but I was like, just in case, we're gonna let him loose in here, we don't know what the heck's going on. So we let him loose, and Salem immediately gets out, rubs all over everything in the bathroom, almost knocks things over because he's just trying to, like, headbutt everything, meowing and, like, just trying to be, like, our best friend immediately. And I thought that was the cutest thing ever. And ever since, he's been our boy. We've had him, 5 years now. God, 5 years. And he was about a year old when we got him, so he'll be 6 this year. They said that his birthday was in October, like late October was their hesitant guess. Or at least we found out in October that he was about a year old. So we decided that his birthday would be Halloween. Because black cat, green eyes, called Salem. And ever since, that has been his cat. Salem chose him. Salem is not the biggest fan of being held. But he will allow him to hold him for as long as he wants. We're doing Shakespeare pronoun game here. But he'll allow him to hold him, which is fun, because Salem will immediately jump out of my arms. And then we've got Aaron, who is a completely different story, not quite as fun of one, other than, like, I came out of the apartment one day and turned left, and there happened to be a kitten screaming at me, and a neighbor showed up like, oh, sorry, that's ours, we had an accidental litter, and she keeps getting loose, and then she saw where I went, like, back to my apartment, and she showed up, like, 4 times in the middle, which they're just our across-the-hall neighbors, but she showed up, like, 4 times outside of our apartments, outside of our door, screaming, at, like, 2 in the morning, which at the time he was night shift, so I was awake for that. And after the, like, 3rd or 4th time, the neighbor was like, do you just want her? Clearly she wants to be there. And ever since, I've had my girl. Which she is half ragdoll, they think half Siberian. which she acts like one. She's extremely clingy, but she's also a psycho, energy-wise. She's cute. I love her. She's the type of cat to sleep on your bed every day. Like, she wakes up when you wake up. Alright. I really like that noise. There's something about the noises in this game. I think we might want to... I feel like we could up to stone targets now. See how fast it goes up when they actually manage to take one down. I think these things that float around are the amulets. Like the blood amulet and then the one for concentration. And I do think that that's really interesting. Okay, we need vitality now. Interesting that they chose to do it that way, because they could have also had them, like, hang off his belt here. That flew up. But yeah, no, they could have also had it, like, hang off the belt for the amulets, but instead they did the circling him thing, which I think is interesting. It looks cooler for sure. How much am I making off of this? 400 every like 3-ish seconds. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Yeah. It's so weird. I always hear people say, like, when they're trying to count in seconds, they do like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, and I've always said 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000. I don't know where that difference comes from. And that's not the only one. Most people say close but no cigar, and I say no dice. Which is interesting, because I live somewhere with a whole bunch of casinos, so you'd think that at least craps dealers would be saying close but no dice, but they all say close but no cigar, and I say close but no dice. Which, prior to where I'm at right now, which is, currently not working, but because for the longest time he had a good enough job that he could support both of us with no issue, and now he's in between jobs, which is a hell of a time to start up a YouTube channel. But prior to this, I was a card dealer for a casino. More than one casino, actually. Which I broke into the industry at 21, which is rare anymore. Usually people don't start dealing really early, but, like, I had a lot of friends who dealt, and they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna teach you how to do this stuff, it'll be cool, you know? Like, this will be one of the best jobs that you can just get at 21, because it used to be, which, if you don't know, dealers do not make more than minimum wage. Like, currently in where I'm not going to tell you what the minimum wage is. I'm trying to decide if I want y'all to have any idea where I am yet, but, the dealers make minimum wage, and then tokes, which there's apparently a difference between tips and tokes. Nobody's ever told me what the heck it is. Yeah, I guess we could do magic affinity. But no, there's, dealers do not make any more than minimum wage, like, period, end of, story, and then there's a difference between tokes and tips, I don't know what the hell it is, it used to be that, like, there would be so many people that, like, everybody would be paying money and, like, coming in to play the games and everything, and it used to be, like, when I broke in, it was right at the end of, like, the golden era for dealers, and then lately it's been, like, because nobody has any frickin' money, you know, nobody's coming out to deal, or to gamble, rather, so dealers are just standing around making minimum wage,
even if the pit's empty, they won't close the pit, so we're all just standing there wasting time when we could be out. Like, most dealers supplement somehow, like door dashing or driving for Uber or something. Like, at this point, nobody's making any money. But back when I started, like, oh my god, was that the greatest job for a 21-year-old? Like, you're the life of the party, you're in the middle of everything. And, like, yeah, people are horrible to dealers. Like, I could tell some fucking stories. But, like, at least we had... Like, at least you were making good enough money to make up for it. Like, my first week was the week of 4th of July. And that was like, they use Shadow for as long as they think you need, but I'd been trained by... Like, I'd had one-on-one training, which is not normal. Usually you go to a dealer's school. But I had one-on-one training with a man who had been a dealer for... I don't know, something like 25 years when he was teaching me. And he was the best dealer that casino had. And then, like, I audition. You, as a dealer, you go and you audition. So, like, you have to prove to them that you can deal the games. So they have, like, if it's a bigger casino, they'll put you on a live game. Like a real actual game. And the supervisor will stand over your shoulder and watch you put cards on the table and pay and take and whatever. And... like, you have to, like, there's really specific things. Like, you deal the first 2 hands to your left with your left hand. And then the rest of them you deal to your right hand. Or you deal with your right hand. You never, ever, if you're dealing, like, a shoe game, you never take cards out of a shoe with your hand. Which, if you don't know what that is, Google card shoe. It's spelled like shoe. Like, the one you put on your foot. But, like, there's interesting rules. Like, you never, ever, ever take cards out of the shoe with your right hand. You never discard with your left hand. And all of it is because, as a dealer, like, we're not just there to put the cards on the table. We have to do 2 specific things that are kind of difficult. The first being, we specifically, like, we're the line between the possibility of cheaters and them not happening. So, like, we're trained to catch that kind of thing. We see that kind of thing, and that's, like, we're trained to spot it, because we're, like, the pit bosses can't be standing at every table all the time, you know, and, like, again, security also can't be watching every table all the time forever. Like, there's always something that needs to be done somewhere else. So, dealers are specifically trained to be able to spot all of those problems and catch them and let the supervisors know. So, like, and then, so you gotta prove, you gotta do that, so everywhere that a dealer, like, it's called walking your game if you're a really good dealer. You walk from the left side of the table to the right side of the table, always having your chest face the tray with all of the chips. And that way you can see as much of the table as possible at any given moment. So, like, if I'm waiting for somebody to hit or stay on a blackjack game and it's the leftmost hand, I am sitting there, I have my hand out pointing to their deck. Like, you don't point with fingers because it's rude. If you're a good dealer, you point with your whole hand, right? So I am pointing whole-handed at their cards, waiting for them to either tap the table to hit or wave to stay. And you sit there, and while you're doing that, you are watching every other game, which is why there's hand signals and stuff as well, is because you need, like, I need to be able to see that, and everybody else in the casino needs to be able to see that. If the camera's looking, like, you have to do the hand signals, because if the camera is looking at this game and you say, oh, I didn't want to hit, but the dealer gave me a card anyway, that can be a really big deal. That can be me getting written up if I did that wrong. So you have to signal like that, so that way I don't get fired. Which I did. I wound up getting fired because customers lied about me. And that was the end of my dealing career, because frankly at that point I was like, I did the best I could possibly do at this career. If people aren't going to respect me, then I don't want to be here anymore. And it was just getting to be too much. There's a point where you get so old that you don't, like, and I'm still in my 20s, I'm 24. But, like, there's a point where I'm not the type to be in the... Why am I not doing this one? I am not the type to be in the middle of the casino, the life of the party anymore. I don't even drink. Which is not me being, like... It's not a religious choice or anything, I just don't like to. But no, Anyway, so as a dealer, the other thing that you're doing, every single thing that we do, so like splashing the chips, which is just laying them out so that it's obvious how many there are and things, doing specific hand motions, moving our hand across the table at certain times. Like, if you've been at a casino, you've seen a lot of this stuff. But not everybody knows why we're doing all of this stuff, and the deal is we have to prove everything that we're doing to 3 people, which is the players, our pit boss, and the camera. Every single thing that we do has to be obvious to all 3 of those people, because the dealers are under more scrutiny than you are as the player. Dealers, some people get that job because they are stupid enough to believe that they can just yoink chips from the tray, which is a bad idea. You will lose your gaming license, and if you lose your gaming license, you can never deal anywhere in Nevada ever again, and if you can't deal in Nevada, you can't deal anywhere else, because everybody's gonna go, well, why can't you deal in Nevada? What did you do that was so bad, you know? Which, and the deal is, like, you don't have to do things that are very bad to lose your dealing license. Which, yeah, you have to do a dealing license. We're all, fingerprinted. Like, you have to go down to the police station, you fingerprint, you get, like, pictures taken so that they know who you are, and everything like that. Partially because, again, dealers are stupid enough sometimes to think that they can take a chip out of the tray and just stuff it in their apron and worry about it later. You know, and it's like, no, you do not do that. That is a bad plan, you know? Because, like, again, like, there's so many things. Like, being a dealer is having 14 cameras pointed at you from every angle you can think of at any given moment. And they're all pointed at you, not the players, at you. Because we're under way more scrutiny. So yeah, it's like, I like to talk about this kind of thing every once in a while, because people seem to think that dealing is, like, some cutesy summer job type deal. People seem to think that it's, like, some cutesy summer job, you don't really have to think about it, you go to, like, dealer school, but, like, it's not school, it's just, like, learning a couple of things. Like, no, you have to be extremely polished to do any of this stuff, and, like, it's not an easy gig to get into unless you have the brain for it, and you either do or you don't. And, like, let me tell you, I have trained people that just don't, and you'll know within, like, your first... Well, okay, if you don't have the brain for it, you will not find out until you've been in dealer school for, like, 2 weeks. Because everybody for the first week thinks that they're terrible at it. Like, that's normal. You're not supposed to think you're good yet. You're not supposed to feel like you're good yet, because it's difficult. It is a difficult thing to do. It's not the type of thing where you're just standing there doing nothing. You have to be balancing what your brain is doing, what your hands are doing. And then especially a lot of casinos like you to be able to deal something like 500 hands in an hour, or at least deal at that pace, which is a lot of the time. Like, if you have a dealer that you feel like is really rushing you to get through whatever you're doing, that's why. Is probably because this dude's gonna get in trouble if he's not dealing that fast. He might get a pay cut. Something will happen. Which if I say, like, pay cut, usually that's not legal, but also, like, most dealers do not do the math to see if they actually made as much as they should have in a night. Which, actually, that takes me back to the totes thing. There's kind of 2 different types of casinos. There's casinos where you keep your own totes, so, like, whatever you make in the night is yours. It goes into a box that is just your box, and at the end of the night, they change it for cash and give it to you. And then there's tip pool places, which I've always liked working at places that pool tips. Now I don't, because, again, the economy's gotten terrible, so nobody's out playing. Because it used to be back in the day, like, okay, I have a bad night, every single player that sat at my table has left up, like, hundreds of dollars. I've been friendly, I've been nice, they've seemed to get along with me really well, and nobody tipped. Like, the most I got was, like, here's $5 on your way off the table, and I'm like, really? Which, like, if you did really badly and you throw the dealer $5 on your way off the table, that's considered a nice thing, but if you just throw him $5 on your way off the table and you left up thousands, that's a great way to make a dealer not like you. Especially because, like, one of the standard tipping practices is to just put, like, even $1 in front of, your bet, and then if that bet wins, the the dealer pays that dollar as well and gets to take, like, both of those dollars go into the tips. And if you lose, we lose too. Most of the time. Some casinos don't do that. God, I've always wanted to work at one that where you still got to keep the money even if you did lose. That would have been nice. But no, anyway. So most casinos that I've worked, well, all of the casinos that I've worked at and most that I've heard about pool their tips, which is basically just all of the tips, from, like, they do it kind of, they have a weird way of dividing it. Usually at the end of the night what happens is, as they close tables, you go and you dump your toke bin. They're called buckets. They don't look anything like a bucket. You go and you dump that into the next table's toke bin, and you go down and consolidate until eventually you've got either one, or if it was a really good night, two, like, big things of a whole bunch of chips, and then they take it into the back, and the cage, which is the cashier counter. If you're in the industry, most people tend to call it the cage. Like, job listings for it are listed as cashier cage. And it's called that because in the back there's a big, like, it's a whole bunch of bars all around it and everything, and, like, you go into the room and it's all high-tech and everything, and that's where the safe is, because they take that shit seriously. Which I worked at the cage at one point, and I was not allowed in that room. Like, and I was being trained for all positions. That was the only position I was, like, the only place in the cage I was not allowed to go, because nobody's allowed in there unless you're, like, really specifically trained for that. Like, if you have to talk to somebody in there, you stop at the door. You do not put your foot, like, there's a different colored carpet so that you know if you've gone too far. Which I always find a little bit funny, but it's, yeah, maybe I do need the multiple targets at this point. But no, so, then what they do is they divvy up all of the tokes, and then it's not, like, per person, it's per hour. So if you, like, at most casinos, they have a list that you can sign that basically just says, hey, if you need to get rid of somebody, like, if there's not enough players to warrant having as many tables open as there are, you can get rid of me first, I don't mind. And so you put your name on it. There's a lot of casinos have, what's called a rolling shift, which basically just means, like, there's several hours, instead of, like, you know, it's not like all of the day shifters get here at 8, and then all of the swing shifters get here at 4. You know, it's like, swing shift, like, specifically, the casino that I worked at for longer, swing shift was, you could show up at 5, 6, 7, or 8, and when there was a grave shift, because there wasn't after a while, but when there was a graveyard shift, swing shift dealers could also show up at 9. So there's, like, 4 hours where you could show up, which you wanted to show up at, like, I liked showing up at 7 because there was a chance of you getting to go home early, which when we were making good money was fine. Like, you didn't have to be there for your full 8 hours to make enough to pay rent. You know, so it was a really nice job to have, you know, like, oh, I go there, I work, like, the way that, the breaks work, like, you get 20 minutes every either hour or hour and 20 minutes. So, like, yeah, it's like you've got a 20-minute break about every hour. Like, I'm only really standing for, like, if I have an 8-hour shift, that's, God, how many breaks? I don't know, I'm not standing for the full shift, you know. Like, it was a nice gig, you know, you could go home early, you still made a lot of money, you're not worried about it, and it was, like, that was a pretty sweet gig, but then now it's, like, it's, nobody shows up, and, like, even, like, 2 years ago, because that was when I was last dealing, or, no, it couldn't have been 2 years ago, I don't know, it's been a year, when I was last dealing, even then, it was getting bad, and at this point, I'm like, it's getting so much worse, especially because, like, 90% of the people who come to casinos are international visitors. So at this point, we've lost, like, half the market. And it's just, like, it's getting worse and worse to deal now, which is really sad because I actually, like, I did enjoy it, and I think that it's a neat skill, and now there's going to be very, like, few young people who want to learn how, you know, and who want to come into the industry and get good at this skill. Like, it's the same as, like, craps dealers have been a dying breed for a really long time. which is so sad. And if you don't know that game, it's the one with, there's a big oval table and somebody throwing dice. That's craps. If it's still kind of an oval table and there's a wheel on it, that's roulette. That's the difference. Dice or wheel. No game has both that I know of. That would be a weird game. I don't even want to imagine trying to deal that. That sounds like a nightmare. But yeah, no, it's sad because there have been, I think the audio on this game might be really fucking bad right now. I hope the audio on this game isn't, like, super fucking loud. I didn't think about it, you know? Whenever he films first, I don't think about it, and I always should be thinking about it because he really has no idea what the hell he's doing yet. Got ice arrows, increase damage per vitality skill, learn how to shoot fire arrows. Holy fire arrows. Oh, good. Strength. Strength really needs to go up. Actually, let me do, the magic affinity makes this bar go faster if you haven't played this game. Concentration increases the skill experience gain for all of the skills. Strength makes you kill targets faster. Dexterity makes you shoot faster. Accuracy increases your crit chance for the normal arrows, because obviously there's other arrows. Vitality creates the life arrows, which are the green ones, and magic affinity increases the speed at which this bar moves. My intent is to stop rambling about dealing now, but if anybody does want to hear more about, like, how to deal card games and stuff, I will tell you right now, like, there is no way to scam the system on either side. The house doesn't really have that much better odds than you at most games. The difference is we're playing by extremely strict standards. So, like, I can't get onto a blackjack table and hit or stay wherever I want to as the dealer. Like, I can't see, like, okay, everybody else at the table has 12, so I can get 16 and just stop there. No, if I have a 16, I have to hit it. I have to stay once I have a hard 17, which means an ace is not a 10, because aces can be either 1s or 10s. Am I stupid? No, they're 1s or 11s. Jesus, I am stupid. Aces can be either 1s or 11s, so a hard 17 is where if you have an ace involved in the 17, it's as a 1. A soft 17 would be where you have an ace and it's acting as an 11. So if you have, like, a 6 and an ace, you've got a soft 17, I have to hit that as a dealer, because you can't bust. Even if I get a 10, I'm not at 27, I'm just at 17 again, because now the ace is a 1. Which I would always recommend if you have a soft 17, hit it. Unless, certain conditions, which I can tell you all about those, but that's, like, these are things you can go up to a table, or no, at the casino and ask your dealer how to play, and they will tell you these same things that I would tell you, and they're the rules that we're playing by, and those are the best rules, because they're playing aggressively enough to actually win some money, but, like, gently enough. Vitality. It's, like, the reason it works as well as it does is because it's playing aggressively enough to actually make something happen while playing conservatively enough to not lose constantly. Because, God, I've seen people have, like, 19 and they'll hit it, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? Unless you're counting cards, what is wrong with you? You know? Just running through and making things do a little bit more damage real quick, because obviously mithril targets take a minute. I do not feel like I'm gonna win, but we're gonna see. So I know I have to get everything up to 168 in order to win. Okay, what do I need for strength? I need this. So that's like 1.56 million. Blah. Everything's so expensive. It's like living my life right now. Oh, portal arrows do hella damage. So that's good. I think he usually doesn't bother with the tree, but he's also seen me win enough times now that he might be. Which would suck, because then there goes my edge. These all cost 4. The nice thing about this tree is it's just down in a row. Everything down here is 7, 6, 5, 4. So then you're not like, oh crap, how much do I need for this? We'll increase that, and then I figure we'll do the ice arrow. But like, you see how fast that's already going up, the portal arrows? Those are like the secret weapon in this game. They do way more damage than anything else does. Yeah, I think I want to save up for the enchanted bow, because that helps you gain strength levels faster. There's a point in this game where it starts feeling like you're gaining really slowly at everything. And it's so funny because I don't think I am, and sometimes I play this and I don't hit that point. I feel like I flew through the whole game, and other times I'm like, god damn, I've been playing how long now? Alright, hopefully one more target and we'll be able to unlock the new skill. Alright, let's go ahead and get the quick chance. It's so funny how low this starts, but it's gonna double once I upskill it. 21. Yeah, that'll be a little bit. Can't buy any upgrades. Wonder how much it would increase. Oh wow. Yeah, you see why I do that? Hi. Okay, so stopping rambling about casino. What else could I talk about? I hate it when I get into a really good roll about, like, I'm really talking about a topic, and then you want to stop talking about that target because you feel like everybody's heard enough about it, but now you're at the point where, like, that's the thing that your brain is on. Which, if you can't tell, is where I'm at now. There we go. 18,000. Everything's in the millions. Yay. Okay, let's see. Increases strength, skill, experience. Oh yeah, that's what I need right now. That is indeed what I need. Yeah, that's better. Current quest is giving me 1.12 million. I wonder how much one of these will go for. Here comes one. So 8.44 million. You gotta be ready to look at these when they go, because they get, like, they fade out so fast. If you're just kind of, like, casually observing, you will not catch it. Alright, that's going up way faster now. Perfect. And I need concentration next. I'm just buying whatever I've got there. I wonder... Skill, first quests... Magic affinity... That's not bad. Spectral arrows... There's accuracy... Skill gain or skill experience. We're gonna increase skill experience from all of the quests because that can only help me. I figured out how to look at how much time it's been, and I do not feel like I'm winning. I don't know though, I'm not that far out for the most part. Next I need concentration, which will help with everything else. Force arrow damage. I might actually go for that. Accuracy skill gain would also be useful. I think I'm gonna go for the skill gains first. Because that can only help me, as per usual. Not that this is doing anything for it. 139 required for strength. So 4 more levels for that, and then I can upgrade this next one. This was actually the game that got me into the whole, like, I want people to stop skipping. I was like, I want to see how you're playing. I want to see how fast the targets go. I want to watch this. You know, and I felt like everybody was, like, skipping through 90% of it just to be like, okay, so the arena champion does this. I'll tell you when I get to the next one, you know? And, which I don't have a problem with it, and I understand why it happens and why people do that, because frankly, it feels like these videos could be obnoxious, you know? But I'm trying something, because I figure if people like live streams, there's gotta be a watch aspect to it that people like too. Because there's a lot of people that just lurk in the chat. Like, don't type anything, don't interact with anybody, they just hang out and watch. And I'm like, there's gotta be a reason why those people are there, and I don't think that the answer is gonna be like, oh, they're here because, like, they just want to watch the conversation, which maybe they do, but I don't think that that's gonna be the whole answer. So I'm banking on that right now. Magic Affinity. Oh, yes! Yeah, that's exactly what I need right now. Hang on, I'm not stupid, right? Yeah, concentration. Yeah. Like that. Oh good, and that'll also boost the concentration gain. 137. But you know, it bothered me. Because I want to see, like, I actually do want to know what you're doing. You know? Like, I do want to watch the whole game. And, like, again, like, I love all of the YouTubers that I follow, I love, and most of them do this kind of thing, and that's not a problem. I'm not, like, I don't want to sit here and make it sound like I'm like, oh yeah, fuck all the other YouTubers. No, absolutely not. I am, like, I'm a believer in, especially on YouTube, that a rising tide should raise all boats, sort of thing, you know? Or lift all boats. I don't remember exactly how to say that one, but, my force arrow damage. I'm gonna go lift that. But no, like, I am absolutely a believer in those concepts, like, we should all be working together to try to increase everybody. Or, like, to, yeah, you get me. Hopefully. And I am absolutely a believer in that sort of thing. Where I'm like, it just, like, I feel like you can, like, 100% be out for everybody to increase all at the same time, and then also not like something that somebody else is doing. Which, like, God, clearly I am part of the generation that was on social media from a very early age, and, like, there's definitely an effect to it, to your brain, where you're like, I feel like I've said something that everyone's going to disagree with, and now I'm worried about it. Which it does suck, you know? But we have to deal with that kind of thing as a society. I wish that people were nicer. Because some people are just fucking horrible. Some people really are. And for no reason. There's a lot of people that just seem to hate everyone around them. I've never really understood that. Like, I understand that some people are just kind of not great people, and those people, like, when it's that kind of thing, I understand that just fine, but it feels like some people just want to be mean to be mean. And I genuinely think that some people do. Like, I would love to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, you know, and say, like, oh, like, nobody means to be awful, everybody, like, sometimes it just happens, and it's an accident, and, like, it is the way it is, you know? But I really, like, it's, like, I haven't had issues with people thinking that I'm a mean person. I've never had issues with people thinking that I'm a mean person. So to me, I'm like, that, logically speaking, means that it's not that difficult not to be. Because I am absolutely one of the people where I can't imagine going outside and just immediately being mean to somebody for no reason. Other than, I guess, you felt like it, you know? Like, I don't understand. I was just watching a video about, like, people on TikTok being horrible to fast food workers, and I'm like, I've seen people not filming for TikTok be horrible to fast food workers for no reason. You know, like, all of it. Like, fuck, my first job was as a cashier at a grocery store, and I had some horrible old lady come up behind me and start screaming at me that I had sold her, like, that I had sold her some alcohol, which I was 17, so no I did not, that's illegal. but, like, that I had sold her alcohol and that I had not given her, the discount for the coupon, you know, and then she was trying to accuse me of stealing it because it wasn't on my desk, and she's just screaming at the top of her lungs in the middle of the checkout area at me, and it's like every register is open. This is like the week before Thanksgiving. It's already a madhouse. And this old lady is like, and she came up behind my register, not even to the front of it. She snuck up behind me and just started shrieking. Like, at me. I didn't even realize she was talking to me at first, but I turned around to see what was happening, and she's staring dead at me, waving around this alcohol and shrieking at the 16-year-old. Like, literally, they had to transfer me to another department after that because I just could not make myself go back out onto the floor. Like, there was another older couple that I was ringing up, and they turned around and were like, "Are you okay? That was insane." You know? And it's just, I don't understand why people feel the need to do that. Like, I didn't do anything to you, old lady. Like, I literally didn't even sell you the alcohol. You weren't ever in my line. I had not checked out anybody that had bought alcohol that day, and I know because I have to call a manager over every single time to scan it and press the buttons for me because I'm 17 and I can't sell alcohol. So, like, I guess she just felt like shrieking at somebody. And, like, I'd love to say that that was, like, oh, some, like, crazy moment where I had, like, the realization of, like, oh, just never be mean to anybody, but I just, like, I never understood that. I can't come up with a reason why I would ever scream at an employee unless they had, like, actually done me harm, you know? Like, come over the counter and dumped a soda on me for no reason, and even then I wouldn't be liable to scream. Like, I'm not the type of person to get loud. Like, actually, I talk too quiet most of the time. That was one of my biggest hurdles with most of my jobs, was learning to talk over the noise. Okay, let's see, spectral arrow damage. Dexterity, spelling increase, spectral fire rate, damage again. This one gets great after a while. Crit damage of everything. Oh, I can go again. Hell yeah. I don't really need the skill increases again, I don't think. We'll just do crit damage first. Alright. Almost able to unlock the next quest. And I was able to upscale that all the way. Dragon Hunter. That sounds cool as fuck. Also sad, though, because I grew up reading the books where, like, everybody's friends with the dragons, you know, and, like, we're either riding them or, like, genuinely actually friends with them. So that's sad. I'm like, I don't want to kill a dragon. I like dragons. I grew up wanting one. Which, if you were on the most recent live stream, you probably heard me talk about, or no, it wasn't the most recent live stream. If you were, I don't know, I think it was either the first or second, was it? God, I'm losing track. If you were on, there was a live stream where I talked about, what dragon lore I grew up with, because it's different from what, like, 90% of everyone else I've met grew up with. And I grew up with Dragon Slippers dragon lore, which is the premise, like, the first little bit, without spoiling anything that isn't in, like, the first 10 minutes of reading. Girl is considered ugly by her family, not her parents. She's being raised by somebody else. Like, I think they are actually related to her, but I'm not sure. Because, God, it's been years since I've read this book, but, so she's, like, they don't really like her. They're kind of trying to get rid of her, so they decide to send her up the hill to the dragon that supposedly lives up there, to pretend like she got kidnapped, like, taken by the dragon, and then either the dragon eats her, and they have one less problem, or the dragon doesn't eat her. I just picked dexterity, I'm not even gaining dexterity right now. Or the dragon doesn't eat her, and, then some prince will come rescue her, and they can be like, oh, we're the doting family, and get in with the prince. So she just goes up the hill, And there is actually a dragon, apparently, which she kind of wasn't expecting. And so she goes into the dragon's lair, and the dragons have a way of talking to each other, through, like, basically scrying pools. And so she goes in, and the dragon's basically on a phone call, and he turns around and he's like, ah, crap, there's a girl here, you know? And it turns out he's just annoyed as hell with the whole concept of, like, why would you, there's knights are gonna come now, and now I have to take care of knights, and, like, oh my god, this is boring. You know, like, leave me alone, I don't want to deal with all of the knights and everything, and she's like, okay, I will, but you gotta give me a piece of your hoard, right? And the dragon looks at her like she's nuts, right? And, the dragon on the other side of the phone's kind of giggling about it, you know? And the dragon on the other side is like, yeah, I mean, if she wants a piece of your hoard, you should definitely give her a piece of your hoard. And, he's like, sure, I guess? And he takes her into the other room, and it's all shoes. Which, the books, that makes it sound like they're silly, goofy books, and, like, to a degree they are, but, like, there's a large portion of them that is not about just being funny, you know? Like, I actually do genuinely enjoy the story, and, it's a good read. It's kind of childish. Like, it's definitely not written for adults, so if you're, like, a 30-year-old and you read biographies for fun, like, this is not gonna be your book, but, if you like just interesting stuff, and a concept that you probably haven't heard about a lot, as far as, like, dragons and stuff go, this is a fun book. I like that book. It is, I miss that book, I should reread them. And it's a series, too, so you get to get attached to the characters, and you get to hang out with them for more than, like, 2 seconds, which I've always liked. Because when I get attached to a series, when I get attached to a character in a book, I get really attached to a character in a book, and I do want to, like, hear about them and know how they're doing and check in and everything. That was another thing. I always used to say, like, it bugged me that movies, like, a lot of the time there would be, like, one movie and it would just end. You know, I'd be like, no, like, it doesn't have to be like a movie, it can be like a half-hour TV segment where you just tell me how the characters are doing. There doesn't have to be a problem or anything, I just want to know what's going on. Like, I got attached to these characters, you let me get attached to these characters, you made me get attached to these characters, and now I'm sitting here like, well, what if I want to know what happens to them after? Obviously, I want to know what happens to them after. I like these characters. I am attached to these characters. Like, I hung out with these characters for however long of my life. Which obviously we're in endgame here now. I can see the time, and I have definitely lost. Which is fine, I'm just gonna finish it out. But no, it really bothers me. Like, they don't tell you what happens to your characters, and you're like, but wait. Like, I got attached to these people. I like these people. I care about these people. I'm just finishing out the magic tree at random at this point. But no, like, I like these people. I care about them. You told me a whole story about, like, about basically why I should like the people that you're showing me, you know? And you're just gonna drop me there? Like, I don't get to know anything else? You're just gonna tell me, like, oh yeah, sucks to suck, the end of the story happened, now you don't get to know, like, how does the marriage go if somebody got married, and, like, how does XYZ thing go? You know, like, there's a lot of things that I want to know. Like, if somebody got married at the end, I want to know what happened. Like, did it go well? Did they have kids? What happened? And, like, if somebody, you know, like, if there was characters that were kind of, like, that were definitely not friends at the beginning of the book, or movie, that were starting to become friends by the end of it, and, like, it's kind of ambiguous whether or not they did, I'm like, listen, if you're not gonna make me another movie or write me another book, then just tell me what happened. Just tell me if they were okay. I don't like the open-endedness. I want to know if they were happy. Which is funny, because I remember describing that as a kid, and the adults all acted like I was weird for it, and I'm like, I want to know. Are they okay? Are they doing well? A lot could have happened, man.
myself out. So yeah, I definitely did bad. I already know how much he won by, and it is significant, so I have no idea if he can hear me right now. He's in the other room, probably playing a different video game. Nope, let's watch it run out. No way. Hey, no way. How much am I making now? 800,000, almost a million per. Too bad it's not gonna matter in a minute. What am I doing? Accuracy. So, yeah, I need 140 million for that. I'm probably not gonna get any of those in an amount of time that makes it worth it. Oh yeah, I did really badly. Okay, to be fair, I was talking. What I'm hoping here is that he's going to have won time, but I'm going to have won being better at talking to the audience. Vote with likes if you want. Whoever you think won talking to the audience. Oh no, here we go. Whoever you think won talking to the audience, talk to me. Like, go into the chat and have a conversation. Because really, I'll talk to you. Like, we already do have someone who's frequently watching the videos, who's awesome, and he's talking all over the place in the comments, and I make it a point to reply to them to reply to as many of them as I can. Well, anyway, I did really, really badly. And the cat left. I've been betrayed. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. I have definitely lost, so fuck me then. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.